guys, welcome to Cain's Corner. This is our first show. We're just doing a little breakdown of the divisions right now. We're going to start with the AFC North, go through some projections, some players of interest, and some interesting things about each of the teams. And today I got TJ DaBoyDaBoy. Say hi, TJ DaBoyDaBoy.
Hi.
Solid. All right, we're going to start with the Bengals. Well, the Bengals are an interesting team. They're the team that need the most and seem to have changed the least. After a solid 2018, Tyler Boyd has finally made the leap to a dependable receiver when playing across from A.J. Green, one of the premier receivers in the league. The Bengals offense is looking towards some youngsters, Joe Mixon and John Ross III, to really contribute to the offense that severely lacks depth. If all their pieces remain healthy, it will come down to how well the rebuilt offensive line holds up. The O-line has been a sore spot for the franchise for 2 seasons now, and while the addition of Jonah Williams is a step in the right direction, they're still far from a solid unit. And boy, do I know it firsthand at the Bengals. They're a rough offense on the offensive line. What do you think, TJ? What do you think about the Bengals offense this year?
Yeah, looking at it, I mean, their best O-line is 73. Glenn came over from Buffalo last year. They got another left tackle who's a 72. Basically, their left tackles are their best players. But, I mean, it's rough. Who's running the Bengals this year? Hilarious.
I believe so. I'm not entirely sure.
He's got John Ross. Really, 97 speed. You can make it work with that. But for that offensive line, it's going to be rough. Looking left or right, 73, 63, 71, 70, and 64. So, I mean, it's a patch job. But it's going to be defense. That's what he's going to have to rely on.
Yeah, I definitely see it. I mean, anytime you got Bobby Hart starting, you know your team's in trouble. And you got your first-round pick from last year. The center, Billy Price, still hasn't really developed any. So, yeah, I think you're right. They're definitely going to have to rely on the defense. The D-line is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, at middle linebacker, I definitely see him starting the rookie, Jermaine Pratt. He's a 68 overall, but 86 speed. You know he loves his speed at linebacker, so he's definitely starting him over Preston Brown.
Right.
And you got another linebacker, 87 speed, Malik Jefferson, and he's got Jordan Evans, who's an 88 speed. So I could see all 3 of those guys starting.
Well, they're going to have to. I mean, with Vontaze Burfict moving on to blacker pastures with the the Las Vegas Raiders now. Excuse my French. They're definitely going to need some big-time play. I mean, there's always guys like Jordan Evans who've been hanging around in the franchise for a few years now. And, I mean, it's going to definitely take some stellar play from people you don't really expect. Malik Jackson, Jordan Evans, or Jermaine Pratt, one of them, maybe even 2 of them, really going to have to step up and help out. And then secondary, we got William Jackson. Will Jackson is a low-key premier corner in the league. One of the underrated players, especially on Madden, and he definitely plays well above his head.
The only other thing I'd say to look at would be the 2 players would be Tyler Eifert and Joe Mixon. Both are at an 88 right now. When it comes to Madden, once they get to that 90, they get that additional trade unlock. So I definitely see Mixon hitting 90, probably week 6 at the latest.
Right. I mean, Eifert is definitely interesting. Mixon is going to be reliable. I mean, it's a solid back. Eifert is interesting. I mean, every year he deals with injuries, multiple injuries, missing long stretches of time, and you can tell as the Bengals now are rostering 7, 8 tight ends. So hopefully they don't have to replace Eifert, but if they do, they have 7 other options to get it done with. So let's go into predictions. I think for the Bengals this year, I'm predicting 6-10. It's going to rely a lot on the user play, of course. If the user can unlock some of the talent that they have, then they could be way higher than 6-10. But as it stands now, with the lack of an offensive line and the lack of linebackers, 6-10 is about my ceiling. What do you think?
I mean, you got everything pre-rehearsed. I'm just going off the top of my head. I know you got the Lampard, and I really don't know who else is in that division. I'm just saying 9-7.
9-7. All right.
9-7, just based on user skills and being able to cheese John Ross.
Gotcha. All right. And so the next team we have on the list is the Browns. The Browns of 2019 are not your father's Brownies. They will host a bunch of new talent: Odell Beckham Jr., Kareem Hunt, among others. The Browns have added Pro Bowl caliber players to what was already a stacked roster. You know, having Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry back together again for the first time since LSU is an electric duo. Each has a stellar career separate, but together they could be special. Add that to a halfback tandem of Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. Chubb is already, proven to be a dangerous back. Last Madden, he was definitely one of the players that gave a lot of teams trouble, along with Kareem Hunt over in Kansas City. So putting them together in the same backfield is going to be an issue. Throwing a dash at David Njoku, and I think you got Baker set up to be MVP of the league. With Baker Mayfield's skill and all the talent around him, and at least an average offensive line, I think the Browns have all the skills. Way better than the Bengals. It's like they're not even in the same state, not even playing the same sport. I think the Browns can do big things. Baker Mayfield is my projection for the MVP year one. The Browns are my projection for the Super Bowl in year one, just based on this offense. What do you think about this offense?
I think it's good. I think they got Baker a little lower than what he could be at 83. He's got a superstar developed, so he's definitely going to develop. Probably close to an 86 by the end of year one, depending on awards. You look at everything else. Kareem Hunt, he's on a one-year deal, so it's going to be a big decision of what they want to do. You got, Nick Chubb, and he used Duke Johnson a lot last year, catching the ball out of the backfield. So I had to guess he's probably not going to pick Kareem Hunt. He's going to let him walk, just because he's got those big name players he's got a sign coming up with. Who's he got? With Myles Garrett and everybody else. But yeah, definitely offense.
Right.
He's got the weapons: OBJ, Landry, and Njoku.
Yeah, they definitely have the weaponry, man. Moving on to the defense. What more can you say? Myles Garrett, right? The guy's amazing. The front seven starts and stops with Myles Garrett. If he can get pressure, if he can lock down his side of the line on the run, I think the Browns defense could really give you problems. You got Sheldon Richardson and Larry Ogunjobi. Did I get that right? I think I got that right.
That's right.
Got those two plug in the middle, along with the veteran Olivier Vernon on the other side. And I think the front four definitely is solid. Going back to the linebackers, you got the rookie Taki left outside linebacker. And above him, you got Jannard Avery. Both of them 86, 85 speed linebackers. Joe Schubert somehow retaining his starting spot. Been there for years, and he got better than Christian Kirksey, apparently. Go figure. Who's doing these ratings, Madden adjusters? But most importantly, I think the linebacker group is, middle of the road at best. Nothing to write home about. With everything else going on with the Browns, I guess there's one spot that can be a little weak. Going to the secondary, you got Denzel Ward. Enough said, future shutdown, lockdown corner. in the Champ Bailey mold, if I do say so myself.
And that's another player, getting back to what we talked about with the Bengals, that he's on the verge of 90, 88, so he's going to get another, ability added to him that's going to make him even more of a shutdown corner.
Right. Got Demarius Randall back to free safety, and then the strong safety with loss of Jabril Peppers. I mean, you're looking at Morgan Burnett, and that's a bit of a hole, if I do say so myself. It's been a while since he was any good. But, overall, I think the defense is more than adequate to hold up, along with the points that offense is going to put up. So, like I said, I'm definitely projecting MVP and Super Bowl out of this Cleveland Browns team. How far do you think they can go?
They run into a wall. I mean, you look outside of the division. You got the Colts. I mean, that's the biggest name that comes to mind, just how they're already built in the user itself. I know when Houston put his little ranking together, he had him win it all. I agree. I mean, he's a good user. He's got a good team set up. This is another, good user and good team set up, so they could definitely be in the playoffs, if not the AFC Championship. Whoever gets the better game at the time, whatever Madden decides.
Yeah, Madden definitely has the ability to decide a game one way or the other. So what if you had to slap a number on it? What kind of record do you think we're looking for the Browns regular season? I think we both agree they're going to.
Haven't even looked at the schedule or who they play. I'm gonna say 11-5.
All right. Well, we're a lot closer on this one. I had them going 14-2. So that's a little bit different. Anyway, moving on. Let's see. Next we have the Ravens. The Ravens are a classic case of gimmick or trendsetter. 2018, the Ravens adopted a run first, run last, run off and game plan complemented with a lockdown defense. It's old school football. It's refreshing to see in an age dominated by passing. When the division rivals all sport deep receiver cores, the Ravens are playing a different game. The ground game is led by their quarterback, Lamar Jackson, and a running back, Mark Ingram. They seem to be the ticket to wins. They plan on winning by possession, suffocating the opposing offense, and just holding the ball as long as possible. In 2019, they have the addition of Hollywood Brown, burner, cut from the same cloth as Deshaun Jackson. I think if Lamar Jackson can connect on the deep ball with Hollywood Brown a few times a game, this offense could really be dangerous, adding a whole nother dimension to it. I mean, I think the floor is high for this Baltimore Ravens team. I think as long as they play smart, they don't take a whole lot of injuries or make a whole lot of mistakes, I think they can go far. But how do you feel about this Ravens offense?
I mean, it's pretty much everyone's dream. If you can't get Kansas City with Patty Mahomes and Ty Hill, everyone's second choice is pretty much, well, let me get Lamar Jackson with his 94 speed, and let me get Hollywood Brown with his 97 speed. I mean, that's a coach's dream, to have the ability to have a quarterback who can run and still have the speed on the outside. Brown is going to be a superstar. He's going to get that 300 XP every week. He's going to develop. He's a number one receiver. I could easily see him feeding them, and Brown gets Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
As far as how good the team is going to be, yeah. As far as the team overall, I mean, it's a tough division, two tough opponents in there that we just went over. I don't really see him, making a playoff push at least year one. And you got people like Yonda, his third best player, is probably going to retire after the first year. So that's going to leave a hole in the O-line. I don't know. It's a tough one. What are you thinking on it?
Well, they have two young offensive tackles that seem legit. I mean, Rodney Staley and Orlando Brown Jr. both look like solid bookends for that offensive line. So losing Marshall, Marshall Yanda after 1 year, if that is the case. I think with it being a guard, they'll be able to survive. I think a lot of the burden is going to come down on this defense, if I'm being completely honest. It's going to just be, you know, how many points can they keep off the board? You got Patrick Owasor, I believe that's how you say his name, the middle linebacker. I remember him terrorizing me in previous Maddens, but this Madden, he's only a 74 overall with an 85 speed. Seems like the ratings adjusters didn't do him a whole lot of justice. But, I mean, you got a lot of role players. Parnell McPhee, Matthew Judon, 2 players that are okay, they're solid. Willie Henry in the 75 overall, they're okay. Nothing to write home about.
Yeah, I mean,
you have a lot of.
You got Humphrey is 23, he's an 85, and you got the older vet Jimmy Smith who's an 84, and Brandon Carr is an 81. They got a decent secondary. Then you add in Earl Thomas, you know, 95 overall. It definitely helps. Tony Jefferson, 85, so the secondary's there. It's, you know, how well is their front seven going to play?
Yeah, I think, like you said, they have a lot of good talent, and they have a lot of glue guys on the defense. It's basically, like you said, it's going to come down to how well they can survive behind that offensive line. And are you starting to see a trend here? All these teams, fairly good talent all around, a decent, you know, okay quarterback position, and the weakness in all of these teams seem to just be offensive line. It's crazy. A nice little try. Okay, so
I mean, the one thing I remember about the Ravens last year is he constantly complained about not having that premier running back. So that kind of makes me wonder what's going to go on, if he's just going to rock out with Ingram for 1 year and trying to address his needs in season 2 to draft a running back. Because I don't see him keeping Mark Ingram more than 1 year.
That is interesting. No, I don't see him keeping Mark Ingram more than a year either. I mean, Mark Ingram is a solid stopgap. You put him with Alex Collins, and you have a couple backs that you can rely on, but are they
I don't even see Alex Collins on this roster.
I don't think so. Oh, yeah, it's a new year.
Kenneth Dixon and Gus Edwards. And they got the rookie Justice Hill. I mean, he might mess around and just put Justice Hill in there because he's a rookie with, you know, and he's a 90 speed compared to an 88. I don't know. You know, it's just one of the things you gotta kind of wait and see what he wants to do with the team.
Yeah,
but
I mean, it's a lot of question marks in that backfield. I think Mark Ingram is gonna take the lion's share of the carries. He does have an 89 break tackle and an 89 trucking, which in this Madden is gonna be fairly nice. But
I mean,
yeah,
overall, Hollywood Brown should be his #1 receiver. He's gonna easily be out Willie Snead and Seth Roberts.
And Lamar Jackson should be his #1 running back. Let's be real. If Lamar Jackson doesn't lead this team in rushing, he's doing it wrong. He's ravening wrong.
Yeah.
All right.
Just gotta keep him healthy.
Yep, keep him healthy and keep him moving. So the last team in this division, and the last team we're gonna do for this show, is my old rival, the Pittsburgh Steelers. The major takeaway from 2018 for the Pittsburgh Steelers is losing the turnover battle. Not the turnovers on Sundays, not turning over the ball. They lost the roster turnover battle. Losing Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, 2 of the top players in their position, as skill positions that people love to play at in Madden, that's going to be tough. I mean, you have Juju Smith-Schuster, who's an excellent receiver. Got an X factor of double me, aka the do whatever he wants X factor. But other than that, I mean, you got, you know, James Conner filling in for Le'Veon Bell. A little on the slow side, not really a Madden darling, but gives you something to work with.
Yeah, he does have that 89 break tackle and 86 truck. I mean, he's definitely more towards that power back than, you know, a scat back.
Right. He's got a little inferior skill to a Mark Ingram and a little bit less speed, which, I mean, Mark Ingram is on the borderline of a good usable back. However, wow, this is impressive. James Conner is rocking an 89 spin move. That is amazing. An 89 spin move on was a quintessential power back. That's impressive. Seeing that, James Conner has something to work with. Anyone who gets him, I mean, whoever has the Steelers, they definitely have something to work with. Be patient with Conner, because I think he'll surprise you. I mean, of course, you got Big Ben. Big Ben's about the only thing that didn't get turned over in this last off season. But you got guys like Dante Moncrief, then James Washington coming in, nice rookie from last year, hoping to have a big year out of him. Ryan Switzer, but just a lot of humdrum behind a couple good people. I mean, Big Ben, Conner, and Juju Smith-Schuster. And the sad part is you could have Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell added to those and have a solid 5. But, you know, circumstance and real world problems. So, you got, let's see, Alejandro Villanueva on the offensive line, Ramon Foster, Marquise Pouncey, David DeCastro, and oh my goodness, they don't have a right tackle. Now, while they may have their best right tackles at 65, other than that, this team is breaking the trend. All of 4 of their 5 offensive linemen are good enough to start on any team in this division. I think Big Ben is going to have no issue staying upright. I don't think James Conner is going to have any issue finding running room. It's going to be, can he bust that 89 spin and make more room? Go ahead.
And the only thing I'd say with this team compared to the others is their age. This team is definitely a more veteran, a more seasoned team. You got a lot of players who are, 30 plus. I mean, you look at Big Ben, you're looking at similar situations. You might get a year, 2 years max out of him. I know he's signed for 3 years, but, you're going to look at a second quarterback option. The line is getting old. You definitely got to make your run year 1 and year 2.
Definitely. I mean, yeah, the shelf life of this Steelers offense is not incredibly long. So, like you said, definitely whoever gets it, you're going to have a few years of life out of that offense, and hopefully you find talent to protect and surround Juju Smith-Schuster and James Conner, if that's the way you're going to go. Moving on to
I think one of their biggest people, Shazier, one of their biggest weapons on defense. You're going to have to pay him, I think, after this year. I think he's on the last year of his contract. If we're even allowed to use him, I don't know if Hogg is going to allow, because he's not really playing in real life. I don't know how that's going to work with him.
Yeah, he's getting paid. He's getting insurance. But as for on-field production, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to allow Ryan Shazier in. Like you said, that's definitely not our call. It's above our pay grade. But if we don't get it, I mean, if you don't get Ryan Shazier, whoever the Steelers owner is, I mean, you do have Devin Bush to play with, and my God, a 21-year-old linebacker with a 91 speed. I mean, that's unheard of. Well, it was unheard of until there was 4 different
Lamar Jackson around.
Yeah. I mean, you're definitely going to need Devin Bush to chase him down. Your edge rushers are not that impressive. I mean, you have Bud Dupree with an 87 speed, which is fantastic to chase down Lamar Jackson, but who knows about that block shed? Let's take a look. So, I mean, they definitely have, 58 block shed, so good luck chasing down Lamar Jackson when you can't get off a block. TJ Watt on the other hand, is nothing to sneeze at. So, I mean, they got good players here and there. It's definitely going to be huge if Shazier can play. If Shazier can play and you can have Devin Bush play that middle linebacker too in that 3-4, I mean, you definitely got the middle of the field covered. It comes down to the old, or the seems to be the calling card for the Pittsburgh Steelers for the last almost decade now. They have the secondary. Can the secondary hold up? I mean, as of right now, you got Joe Hayden and Mike Hilton. Mike Hilton, to me, is basically came out of nowhere player. Never heard of him before this year, but apparently he's not bad. 87 speed, it's a little slower. Match that with Joe Hayden, 88 speed, and about 50,000 years old. I mean, it's gonna be interesting. And Steven Nelson is your third corner. If it's a Steven Nelson I remember getting picked on in Buffalo, that doesn't leave a lot of confidence. And then probably one of the biggest misses they've had in a while, Artie Burns. So their cornerback group is definitely
supposed to be nice.
Yeah, which one? They were all supposed to be nice. The only one that actually was
you're
nice
definitely gonna have to attack the secondary.
Definitely. I mean, they have bodies. They have bodies. Even their safety group is 72, Sean Davis, and the 74, Terrell Edmonds. I mean, I think there's a blueprint to beat the Steelers. It's gonna basically, if the Steelers are gonna do anything good this year, I definitely think it's gonna be a ball control offense, kind of very much like what the Ravens need to do. Now,
all right.
What do you think? I got the Steelers projected. I had them projected 10-6 just based on the name Steelers, but I think I'm gonna have to readjust that to a 6-10, maybe.
That's the exact number I was thinking was 6-10.
Yeah.
Nothing really overwhelms me. You know, it's a good team on paper, but when you really dig into it, it's, you know,
I think they
kind of rough.
Underwhelming, definitely. I think they have the best offensive line in the division, hands down, point blank, period. The best quarterback situation in the division. I guess it's, take your pick. If you like the veteran savvy and a pump fake that can get anybody, Ben Roethlisberger is definitely your guy. If you need a young, savvy quarterback that can kind of do a little bit of everything, but nothing really great, you have Baker Mayfield. And, if you want the best athlete in the entire division, there's always Lamar Jackson. I think the Bengals definitely need to find their quick quarterback of the future. They're the one team lacking. Let's say you're talking running backs. I mean, you got Joe Mixon. The Bengals definitely have one of the better running backs in the division. Yeah, he's about the only one to note. I think they all have good receivers, mostly.
Yeah.
Except for the Steelers, they have one good receiver, and then the rest are just.
I don't think we gave the Ravens a win-loss total. We project them for the year.
Okay, go ahead. What do you think for the Ravens?
I'm gonna think very similar to the Steelers. They're gonna be an underwhelming team. They're gonna be below 500. I would say like 5-12, somewhere around that range.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna say we differ radically on this one. I think the Ravens have, like I said, the ability to give a lot of people a lot of problems. I think they're not good enough at what they do to give top players here problems. But I think a large portion of the league is going to have issues tracking down Lamar Jackson while not forgetting about Hollywood Brown on the outside. And I think that'll be enough to win at least 7-8 games.
Right.
I'm gonna give the Ravens a 9-7.
a lot of my reasoning behind mine is just off of last year's Madden, of the overall records from year 1 to year 5. I don't think I think it was Swift Kincaid who had him last year. I think he had him this year again. I don't think he had a winning record at all last year. Again, I'm not trying to take shots at anybody or anything like that. Just what I know off the top of my head. I don't write shit down like you. I just kind of wing it. But yeah, I mean, just based on that alone,
you sound hurt that I did research for this.
Yeah, I mean, I see him continue that trend. A below 500, 500 at best kind of team, at least year 1.
Right. That sounds good to me. Well, any last words for the AFC North?
No, I think that's gonna be it. I think we got a little hilarious in there with Lampard up in Cleveland. That should be a good matchup. Who the Steelers is? I have no idea who the Steelers user is. It might be a new guy. I have no idea. So I have nothing to base his user skills on.
Right. Well, me, my final words, I guess, would be I don't remember anybody who played in this division. As for the user skill, that's definitely a huge variable when it comes to Madden. I'm looking at their rosters. I definitely know that there's things to work with on each one of these rosters. I mean, hands down, the Browns have the most to work with. I think the Ravens are your quintessential Madden team. Every kid who ever wanted to play Madden wanted to play with the team like the Ravens. I mean, I think it's definitely an exciting year. I'm gonna say good luck to all the people in that division, to those 4 users, and hopefully they can harness what their team gives them. Draft offensive linemen. That's the only thing I'm gonna say to them collectively as a group. Draft offensive linemen. Any advice for you?
I mean, my last words would be just prove me wrong. Like, this is just us talking off the top of our heads what we think. Nobody's actually played a game against each other, in TFM. So everybody starts out the same. Everybody's 0-0. Last year doesn't mean shit. It doesn't matter how many Super Bowls you won last year. That was last Madden. This is this Madden. Everybody starts with a clean slate. Who's going to be the first one to win a chip? That's it.
All right. And there you have it. That's TJ DaBoyDaBoy. I'm Blazing Cain 24. This was Cain's Corner featuring TJ DaBoyDaBoy.